Next on West Side Stories, a new task force is tackling the issue of alcohol abuse at GVSU fraternities and sororities.
And at the RV show in Grand Rapids, some new retro campers drew big crowds.
And we'll see how some schools are fighting back against bullying.
All this and more coming up on West Side Stories.
West Side Stories is produced by students from the Multimedia Journalism program at Grand Valley State University. Support also comes from the School of Communications. Inspiring thought, perfecting practice.
Welcome to West Side Stories. I'm Preston Donikoski.
And I'm Linnea Martinez.
Like many universities throughout the U.S., Grand Valley State University's Greek system is wrestling with the issue of alcohol abuse.
That's right, Preston. GVSU has now banned alcohol at all fraternity and sorority events. Greek Life representatives say that they want to work with GVSU officials to deal with the issue. GVSU fraternities and sororities say they have embraced a newly created task force that aims to gather feedback from the GVSU community at large. Reporter Elizabeth Barnes gives us an update on how things are going.
Over the last 5 years, we've had, I think, 9 different kind of discipline situations that the conduct office has dealt with. And just recently, this fall, we had another fraternity that was suspended from campus.
Bob Stoll, along with faculty, staff, and students, like IFC member Kyle Holka, have created the Fraternity and Sorority Life Task Force, a space designed to give the community a chance to talk about how Greek life is functioning.
An overarching goal that we have is to ensure that all members of the community are educated on the resources, policies, and how to handle issues that align with the national trend.
The task force has created an alcohol ban after the latest incident last fall, after Kappa Sigma fraternity was sanctioned from campus. The ban is one step the task force took to help Greek life get away from the negative stereotypes that is attached to it.
On a national level, there was another student death related to a fraternity just this past weekend again. And those tragedies, we do not want to happen here. So we're trying to help our community learn and grow and provide the right kind of leadership.
With the task force being an initial shock to some students, many are embracing how they are trying to change these stereotypes around Greek life.
When I first arrived at Grand Valley, I really had no intention of joining Greek life because of the negative stigmas and stereotypes that were associated with it.
I think there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to Greek life.
I think the big stereotype comes from what people see in the news, what they read online, and what they see in the movies.
Stereotypes like excessive drinking, partying, or hazing are just a few of the negative assumptions that Greek life here at GVSU experience. Fraternity and sororities at GVSU want to make their values known to those who believe the negative stereotypes.
I know my affiliated friends and sisters are some of the most responsible, caring people.
Pageant continues to say that they typically spend just about every night planning different events, from sisterhood events, programming events, to service and philanthropy events.
I would have never guessed that when going through recruitment my freshman year that I would be here today with different leadership positions and different involvement in things on campus. Things like that have really made me who I am today, and I'm really grateful for my sorority experience making Grand Valley all it has been to me.
I've been exposed to more opportunity in the past year and a half than I did in my first 2 years of college. The people I've met, the experiences that I've had have been second to none.
While GVSU Greek students seem encouraged by the collaborative spirit of the task force, there are still challenges ahead, not the least of which are fighting stereotypes kept alive by the recent events at other colleges.
In Allendale, I'm Elizabeth Barnes.
Bob Stoll, the Associate Dean for Student Life at GVSU, says he'll continue to work with GVSU's Greek Life Task Force to ensure the safety of students. We will keep you posted on further developments to this story.
This recent weather may have you longing for spring, so we thought we'd bring you a look at shiny new gear for your summer camping trip. Reporter Christopher Cooper traveled to downtown Grand Rapids for the 2019 Camper, Travel, and RV Show. The annual show is popular with families who love to camp, but this year's show had a retro twist.
Located in the DeVos Place, the RV show stretched over 250,000 square feet. It included 13 RV dealers, making it the largest RV show in Michigan. The show displayed the newest motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and ultralight campers. However, the show was not limited to just RVs, but included things to do like watching your kids climb a wall or trying a taste of something new, like an award-winning barbecue sauce.
Salmon, some chicken, some ham. Instead of putting that pineapple on your ham, you can put that on that ham. Or my daughter runs the company. We got the recipes from our grandmother to make it about 6 years ago, and we started making it about 5 years ago in our kitchen, and we started off with about 10 or 15 cases a week. Now we're selling almost 1,000 a week.
After grabbing a taste of barbecue sauce, you could visit Fern and Birdie, two old school buses converted into RVs built on low budgets and big dreams. Fern was created by Ben Tucker after he traveled the country in a bus named the Lost Bus, or the Lending Our Services traveling bus. That experience inspired him to build his own, creating an Instagram profile of his family's ventures along with it.
We started an Instagram account when we got the bus as a yellow bus, and we just named it Fern the Bus because my wife was reading Charlotte's Web to her students at the time, and the main character is Fern, and it just fit. And so we named the bus and built an Instagram account, and people loved watching the process of building it from a yellow bus to what it is now. And we gained a ton of followers and built kind of a community online.
Part of this community is Ben's traveling buddy, Matt Myerd, who, along with his wife Emily, remodeled another old school bus. Although naming it Birdie, it goes by another catchy name.
We called it Always Home Bus just because it feels like we're always home. You know, we made it very comfortable inside, and we used a lot of good materials so that it feels like, you know, no matter where we're at in the world or driving down the road, we always have a comfortable spot.
Matt and Emily Myerd have ventured all over in their small but comfortable bus, having everything one would need to live wherever the road takes them.
So this bus was originally built in 1992, so it just officially joined the historic license registration, but there's a lot new about it as well. We completely gutted the entire inside, brought it down to just bare bones, but then we had to reframe everything. So you see seats here in the front, but they have storage here underneath, so we can take all of our extra gear. This is actually not the original seat, but we needed something with armrests because with the 5-speed floor shifting transmission, you get a little bit fatigued after a little while. So we've also added a few other kind of homey little items. Tried to get a refrigerator in here so we can keep all of our perishables cold, so that just fits snugly under here. We have a small little bathroom facility in the back here. We like to keep it kind of cozy, so sometimes it's a little bit stressful, but this will hinge up piano style, and you can have a nice little bathroom underneath. Put a couple of large water tanks underneath. We have a 20-gallon fresh water and a 20-gallon gray water, so we can use this sink for dishes or to wash our 6-month-old son, or whatever the case may be. We put a queen-size bed in the back because we wanted to make sure that we were comfortable all the time, because when you're on the road, the last thing you want to do is be sleeping on a tiny little mattress and be uncomfortable.
The bus's wood interiors and painted outsides separate them from the typical yellow bus. The uniqueness attracts quite the crowd.
I think the bus is just so unique, and it looks very woodsy. The look of it is very home-like, different than a lot of campers, trailers like that, those types of RVs. So it's just the uniqueness of it. It fits the outdoorsy feel of Michigan. I think it's just like the perfect Michigan RV.
However, even with years of experience, Myerd says building the perfect Michigan RV is no simple task.
It's a big time commitment, and you have to be willing to learn a lot of different trades, the electrical, the plumbing, the carpentry. But there's definitely an opportunity for people to get their feet wet and have a lot of fun doing it.
That's where Myerd and Tucker step in, with plans to help others in the renovating process and also help design a bus personalized to fit one's lifestyle and expand the community.
Our vision is to be able to, help people along with that process, either from helping them design and actually custom build them for people, or to give them advice along the way, or just create a community where people can help each other do some of those projects.
These custom-built buses offer many possibilities for design. Matt saying there is one feature people are always asking about.
I would say the rooftop deck. It's probably our biggest conversation piece. We get a lot of people that like to comment and get to go up there for watching the stars, and pretty neat spot.
Perhaps Meyer's favorite spot is not any of the bus's features, but the people he is able to watch the stars with, saying it is a real joy to travel with his family. Lounging on the Always Home bus at the DeVos Place RV show, I'm Christopher Cooper.
Matt Meyer and Ben Tucker may have some yellow buses available for future projects. They say they just need to find the right person who's ready to take on the challenge. If you think that might be you, then you can contact them by following the links below.
Bullying in our schools is a big problem. According to a nationwide survey by the National Center for Injury Prevention and Control, the CDC, and the U.S. Department of Education, 1 in 5 teens say they have been bullied. But, as reporter Callie Hubbard tells us, at least one school in Michigan is chalking up some victories against those who bully.
Have you ever been called a word that you didn't like, whether it was slob or messy or impatient? Well, students and faculty at Spring Lake High School are working to break these stereotypes. It all started as an idea to use student art as a statement against bullying.
On the chalkboards in the hallway, the physical chalkboard.
Art teacher Jennifer Gwenup at Spring Lake High School says she always envisioned the day when students, teachers, and staff would walk into the school and see the hallway covered with pictures of students. Students who say they've been bullied, each student holding up a chalkboard with a single word. A word that someone has used to bully them.
I imagine that moment in time would do a few things, that it would make them feel more compassionate towards individuals and other people who have things like that going on, that they'd feel more part of a community, knowing that no matter what group that they're in, be it the popular kids or the jocks or the kids that are into the arts, that everybody had a common experience.
Gwenup says she wanted students to know that they are a part of something much bigger than these words. She wanted to take away the pain of bullying and replace it with something positive. She had the students cover up the words on the chalkboards with colorful pieces of paper. Students then replaced the negative words with positive ones. The pictures started on the walls of Spring Lake and made their way onto the students' social media platforms.
So the pictures that we took were printed 18 by 24, big black and white photographs. And as we were wrapping up the physical installation and getting the images printed, students started getting their images from our website and posting them on Instagram. So what happened on social media was pretty organic. So exactly what I wanted the physical installation to become was happening on social media at the same time.
Students started putting their pictures onto Instagram where other students could comment positive words that described them, just like they did in the walls of their high school. That was when the Chalkboard project was born.
Artistic, amazing, passionate.
Gwenup says students told their parents about the project, and that's when things really took off.
I think they hear stories from their students, their kids, and they are saying, we want something authentic and real to happen, to help. The stories that come out of the project are really incredible. We see a lot of it on Instagram happening, people who are apologizing to each other. Some of it's word of mouth. Students have come to me and said, let me tell you about how it affected me. I had one girl come in and say, my mom saw my image and she came up to my bedroom last night and we had a conversation that we never would have had otherwise.
Conversations that started with a single word. But how does a student come up with a single word to describe how they felt?
We told them to use a word that was either something that someone has said to them that's bothered them, or maybe it's not even a word, maybe it's a phrase, or it could be just a misconception that people have of them.
Gwenup touched many of her students in the process, one of them being Eric Dunlap, a senior at Spring Lake High School.
Everyone in high school has something that's, made them mad, and it was a really relatable thing. I wrote feminine for my word, and I don't know, I was called feminine when I was little, and it just stuck with me for a lot of years, and I kind of overcame it, and I just learned to not care about even if it was true or not, I just didn't care. I just thought that'd be something good to write on the board just because, it's kind of relieving.
See, and what I told students was even I need this. Even I have days where I need need to refer to this and be like, no, people actually think I'm awesome. It is uncomfortable, but we had a lot of growth that came from it, and a lot of positive dialogue that came from it.
Both Gwinnett and Dunlap can agree that this made a huge impact on the high school. It has silenced the bullies.
It's definitely made people more aware of stuff, I think, because everyone knows about it, everyone talks about it.
I think the sky's the limit. I would love to see it impact as many people as possible.
Overall, the project has not only brought students closer, but it has strengthened the relationships between students and their teachers. The Chalkboard project has already spread to other schools in West Michigan, but Gwinnett hopes it will go much farther than that. From West Side Stories, I'm Callie Hubbard.
If you want to see the images that students and faculty have posted in West Michigan, you can visit the _Chalkboard project on Instagram. You may be surprised as to what you will find.
Last week, Governor Gretchen Whitmer declared a state of emergency in Michigan due to extremely cold temperatures. Now it's more important than ever to make sure that everyone has a way to escape the cold. Jessica Kroll brings us a story she did last year in Muskegon that shows us a volunteer-based rescue mission that's sheltering those in need.
For over 110 years, the Christian-based and nonprofit Muskegon Rescue Mission has been giving shelter to families in need in West Michigan. Of the two locations, the Women and Children's Shelter, located at 1691 Peck Street, has been recently renovated, now allowing them to house boys until the age of 17.
By being able to house older boys, we were able to keep families intact where moms were not able to have their children with them before and had to probably separate them and put them in different households. We're able to bring that family in together and supply them with resources and materials that they need to transition from emergency shelter into their own home.
The shelter aims at getting families back on their feet. They require classes such as financing for adults and give them jobs at their local thrift stores to help build resumes.
We do ask, too, that those with income participate in money management and saving, and that's teaching them how to save while they're here, teaching them how to prepare for things when they transition out of the shelter, how to make a budget, how to write out checks.
Through the New Life program at the men's shelter, men stay for 1 year and focus on rebuilding their lives with a biblical background.
We actually take guys from the shelter side, sometimes off of the streets, and we help them really rehabilitate their lives, acclimate them more to the life of Christ. They actually walk away with a new outlook on things. We walk with them here in the program. So when you have a passion for that, you just want to see the best come out for everybody.
Volunteers are a large part of what keeps the mission running, and volunteering benefits more than just the homeless.
When you volunteer, many times people come to give of themselves, but in return they find that they not only give, but they gain a lot. Not only do they gain experience, but they gain experience in the sense that you are hands-on doing what God sent us to do, which is, to love people, to demonstrate the love, the kindness, to shelter them, to feed the hungry. So you are fulfilling the calling.
Volunteering and working at the shelter lets people be part of something bigger than just themselves.
It makes me feel good because I know the mission is here to help and to be less fortunate and to be able to come to a place where you can get help. It's a joy. It's just a blessing from the Lord.
The men's shelter, located at 400 West Laketon Drive, also houses the rescue mission's food pantry. Guests at the shelter receive 3 meals a day and a snack. On Thursdays, the shelter gives food to other families in need around the area. All items are donated and then organized by volunteers.
The biggest way that volunteers help is just really donating their time in our kitchens, at our thrift stores, child care, and chapel, leading chapel services in the evenings at both the women and family shelter and the men's shelter.
But that's not all that volunteers do with the mission. Through a program called Finishing Touches, volunteers donate anything they can to help furnish the dorms.
No matter how big or how small, donation is still appreciated towards the finishing touches. Without that, we wouldn't be able to have the east wing and west wing renovated to provide more rooms and also to make it possible to house older boys.
According to a report released in late 2017 by the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, almost 10,000 families were homeless in 2016. That's over 24,000 people living without a home.
You don't need to go, to a different country. There's people in your backyard, in your community that are in need.
In Muskegon for West Side Stories, I'm Jessica Kroll.
And if you are looking for a way to help out, the shelter is always looking for donations for their food pantry, including items like boxed cereal, peanut butter and jelly, and canned meat.
And now it's time to take a look at our weekly calendar. Let's check it out. The USS Silversides served as a combat submarine in World War II, and it saw a lot of action. Today, the submarine's mission is to educate West Michigan visitors with an authentic naval experience. Here's Jake O'Donnell keeping things shipshape in Muskegon.
Its days of navigating the waters of the Pacific Theater may be long over. However, after sinking 30 Japanese warships and damaging many more, the old sub has many stories to tell. Nowadays, the job of the USS Silversides Submarine Museum is to do just that. As Executive Director Peggy Manianis explains, it not only is important to pass on the stories of the vessel, but also the stories of those who served.
Our first director, Robert Morton, really wanted to bring a vessel to Muskegon because Muskegon was so important during World War II. There was a great deal of manufacturing that was done here in Muskegon that supplied a lot of parts to so many different other vessels and to so much more of the Army. And so he wanted to bring something here to honor Muskegon's World War II past because she was one of the arsenals of democracy.
The museum's mission has attracted many people throughout the years, perhaps none as many as the Scouts, who travel from all across the region for such a unique experience. As Joe Caruso, leader of Troop 39 in LaGrange, Illinois, says, the museum has done a great job of working with groups like the Scouts.
I'm just really impressed on how well they've done a job of setting up the museum as well as having the submarine available for the Scouts and the public to come in and take a look at. And I like the ability for the Scouts to learn firsthand and to see the things that were part of their history.
For years now, the USS Silversides Museum has provided a once-in-a-lifetime way for Scouts to live the way sailors did during the Second World War. Imagine what it would be like to be a submariner. The sights, the sounds, the feel of it all. The Silversides allows Scouts to take a step back in time and experience it for themselves.
The Scouts like to come to us, and it's a great chance for them to have a wonderful night away in an area where they understand something of history. And they get to spend the night here at the museum actually sleeping on our submarine. And during that time, we do a closing flag ceremony. They have their program, they get a tour of the submarine, they take a class, and then they enjoy an evening just like a submariner would have way back when.
In addition to the subaquatic sleepover, the museum also offers classes about the science behind the Silversides.
We run two programs here. We got a class called Subtech, which teaches everything from how a periscope works to how air pressure works for a torpedo to what neutral buoyancy is, and then showing them how a remotely operated submersible vehicle goes. And then we have another program here that teaches and you put together an actual submersible remotely operated vehicle.
The museum is very proud to be able to work with all those involved in scouting. However, from the day the sub first arrived in Muskegon, the #1 goal of all those working behind the scenes at the USS Silversides was to honor the veterans who fought for their freedom.
The mission of the Silversides Submarine Museum, first and foremost, is to honor our veterans. Anything we do within our building is always meant to allow other people to know what people that came before them have done to preserve the freedom of the United States. And we do that through exhibits, we do it through lecture series and classes where we bring in authors and subject matter experts to come in to speak to the community. We do it by honoring people during our Lost Boat ceremony where we honor the 52 submariners that went down during World War II. And we also do a program called Honoring Our Veterans where we honor in memory of a local gentleman who was a Tuskegee Airman. We also run a program for that every year as well.
As the submarine approaches 80 years, it's full speed ahead for the USS Silversides. It may not be sinking enemy ships in the Pacific anymore, however, this floating piece of American history is doing something just as important, educating the future of our country. And as they say in the Navy, anchors away! Reporting from Muskegon, I'm Jake O'Donnell.
Thanks, Jake. If you want to learn more about the museum or stay overnight on board, visit silversides.org for more information or visit them in person on Bluff Street in Muskegon.
And I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. I'm Preston Donikoski.
And I'm Linnea Martinez. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
West Side Stories is produced by students from the Multimedia Journalism program at Grand Valley State University. Support also comes from the School of Communications, inspiring thought, perfecting practice.